This is what happens when you send the already capable Nissan Patrol large four-wheel drive to off-road finishing school. This is the Nissan Patrol Warrior. At 101k, it's the most expensive Patrol in the current lineup, but it's not a luxury play. It's about breadth of capability, greater on-road manners, and greater off-road ability. How much tougher is it? We've come to the Tassie wilderness to find out. I'm Glenn Butler, this is my Nissan Patrol Warrior review, and you're watching Drive. The Nissan Patrol Warrior was developed in conjunction with Premcar, the same mob that developed the Warrior versions of the Nissan Navara Ute. Premcar, if you don't know, rose from the ashes of Ford performance vehicles, so they've been making good vehicles even better for almost 3 decades. The Patrol Warrior is about $3,500 more than the previous Patrol range topper, the TIL. But Premcar chose the more affordable Patrol TI as the basis for the Warrior. The TI is priced at $85k, which makes the Warrior $16k dearer. So what does that get you? Nissan says the Warrior upgrades are designed to provide a more aggressive appearance and improve its capabilities, not just off-road, but also on-road. Expand its breadth of capability, if you like. Changes have been made to the tyres, wheels, suspension and exhaust. The exterior changes to the Patrol Warrior are not as bold as the Navara Warrior Ute, firstly because there's no bull bar in the current Patrol range. There's obviously a red Warrior branded front bash plate, black wheel arch flares, black mirror caps and grille trim, Warrior side decals and badges, and black inserts in the rear bumper. Then there's the new design 18-inch alloy wheels wrapped in Yokohama Geolandar tyres, all-terrain tyres, that measure 34.4 inches in diameter. They're some of the largest on any new vehicle sold in Australia.
Now to this car's mechanical changes. Let's start with the engine because nothing's changed. The Patrol's 5.6 litre V8 still makes 298 kilowatts and 560 newton meters as before. It works in collaboration with a 7-speed automatic gearbox and a heavy-duty 4-wheel drive system with a low-range transfer case and down here a number of off-road modes. The Patrol's suspension system has been reworked and significantly. We're talking new springs up front, softer in fact, new springs down the back, firmer, new dampers and major changes to the hydraulic body motion control system. Now for those of you that don't know, most 4-wheel drives have sway bars or anti-roll bars. In fact, most vehicles have sway bars or anti-roll bars. Their job is to try and keep the car flat in the corners. Now that is the enemy of a good off-road vehicle because when you're off-road going slow, you want really good wheel articulation to keep whichever wheel you can, or as many wheels as you can, on the track and get that forward motion. So hydraulic body motion control basically does away with those mechanical linkages and uses hydraulic fluid which is shuttled around the vehicle. At higher speeds, it keeps the vehicle really planted and stable in the corners. At low off-road speeds, it allows serious off-road wheel articulation. It's really quite a clever system, and Premcar worked on it and have made it even better.
The HDMC is key to this vehicle having the wheel travel you need off-road while remaining flat and stable at highway speeds. It's actually a very clever system, especially given it's a passive system, not an active one. Overall, Nissan quotes a total body lift of 50mm compared to the Patrol TI. 29mm of that is from the suspension and 21mm from the larger tyres. The front and rear tracks are also 40mm wider for a broader footprint. Approach and departure angles are up to 40 degrees at the front, 23 degrees at the rear, and the latter takes the tow bar into account, which has been redesigned to fit the largest spare tyre beneath.
So how does that all manifest in the real world? Well, let's first refresh ourselves with the baseline Patrol, which this vehicle is an evolution of, if you like, or an improvement on. Premcar was going for an increased breadth of capability. That doesn't just mean greater off-road performance, it means better on-road performance as well. And that's important because they didn't want this car just to turn into an off-road Warrior and lose its on-road manners. Now the Patrol already was a very good off-road vehicle and a consummate car to drive on-road. Quite luxurious and quite effortless. partly thanks to its very generous 5.6 litre V8 engine, but also cleverly tuned suspension. So do you feel any changes with all of the modifications that Premcar has made? A little bit. Most of that comes down to the tyres. We've got much more aggressive all-terrain tyres on this vehicle now, Yokohama Geolanders, and from what I'm about to sample, they will do a great job off-road. On-road, you do feel a little bit more of the road, but not enough to compromise this vehicle's premium ride quality. It's almost a luxury ride quality. It is very comfortable, very compliant, but at the same time, when you actually go through corners, it sits surprisingly flat. It's a really good outcome in a vehicle that really has to span an incredible breadth of capability. Now, Premcar also fitted an exhaust, a bimodal exhaust. I was going to say fitted, I was going to say replaced the exhaust, but the original exhaust is still there. They've just added side pipes and a bimodal section to it, which when you drop the car into manual mode, uses that bimodal mode to give you more bark, more aggression, I guess, evoke more emotion. That's what they're going for. And when you floor it, or when you drop it back a few gears, it really does sound good. Really good. But when you want to just cruise, it goes back to, I guess, the original exhaust track. And again, it's really nice and quiet. And quietness is another thing I want to talk about, because I'm actually really surprised, impressed at how quiet these chunkier all-terrain tyres are on the bitumen. Chunkier tyres can often create more noise. In fact, they generally do. More thrum, if you like, from the road. Not these ones, they're actually really good. And chatting to Bernie Quinn before driving this car, the engineering boss of Premcar, he said they actually spent a lot of time trying different tyres, quite a number of different tyres, to get the performance they wanted. And he said it was crucial that this vehicle have improved off-road performance, but not at the cost of its on-road manners. And I think they've achieved that. Now, in terms of off-road ability, this car, it's really hard for me to say how much of an improvement this vehicle is compared to a standard petrol TI or even a TIL, which is only about $3,500 cheaper than this vehicle. Without putting them back to back, what I can tell you is this car feels more accomplished, more capable off-road. That's not surprising, right? We've talked about the suspension changes they made. We also talked about the fact that it's got a 50mm increase in ride height. 21 of that's down to the bigger tyres, 29 is down to suspension changes. 50mm ride height improvement is going to make a significant difference, but not if it comes at the cost of wheel control when you need wheel articulation. In this vehicle, it doesn't. In this vehicle, I would feel confident tackling pretty much any track, anywhere, anytime that you could rightly expect any other vehicle to go over. A vehicle of this price, what are you talking about? You're talking about a Land Cruiser, probably the GR Sport Land Cruiser. You're talking about a base level Land Rover Discovery, which is a pretty solid off-road performer. There's not much else that gives you this level of interior comfort and luxury and this level of off-road ability. In some ways, I guess that makes this vehicle quite unique in the marketplace, and all the more impressive for it.
Before I wrap this up, let's quickly run through the interior changes. The interior has been updated with a black colour scheme, including high-gloss black inlays on the centre console and Alcantara on the doors and dashboard in place of wood grain trim, all with Warrior branding. Features shared with the TI model include dusk-sensing headlights, leather-accented upholstery, a power-adjustable driver's seat, keyless entry and start, 6-speaker sound system, front and rear parking sensors, and autonomous emergency braking. The shape of the dashboard and the infotainment system remains unchanged, which also means there's no Apple CarPlay or Android Auto connectivity.
So overall, the Nissan Patrol Warrior is a convincing vehicle that delivers exactly what it sets out to deliver. Greater breadth of capability both off-road and on-road. The biggest thing holding this car back for me is its dated interior, particularly the infotainment system and the layout of the center stack. Could Nissan have done more with the Warrior? Not without incurring great expense. They really needed Nissan headquarters to come to the party and put in at least Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, which is available on this patrol vehicle overseas. But it doesn't look to me like we're going to get that before this generation of patrol makes way for the next generation in a year or two, which is a bit of a shame, because let's be honest, this is where you spend your time when you're driving the car, in here. Mobile phones are a way of life. You kind of want it to integrate with the vehicle as well as you can. But that aside, there's really nothing else holding me back from recommending the Nissan Patrol Warrior if you want an off-road Warrior that you want to also live with 7 days a week. So there you go. Now, in closing, there are 4 colors: white, silver, grey, black, which I'm sure Nissan's marketing department's come up with some evocative names for. Good luck to them, that's their job, I guess. For me, I'd take the white, because some of the off-roading we've done on this trip has left a few scratches or pinstripes down the side of the vehicle. We've tried our best, but the Climbys track that we did is one of the toughest in Tasmania, and it has a reputation with four-wheel drive enthusiasts as one of the toughest in Australia. I mean, to do 4 kilometres took us just over 1 hour. Admittedly, we were in convoy, but it's a serious test of off-road ability, and the Patrol Warrior came through it with flying colours. But if you buy the white car, those pinstripes don't show up as well. Anyway, I'll leave you to decide. Some people might like the black one. It looks particularly fetching with the red Warrior bash plate in the front, but really that's semantics. The car itself is a really good vehicle and has a lot to recommend it. Now, if you want to know more about the Nissan Patrol Warrior than I've detailed in this video, check out my review at Drive.com.au. If you have some thoughts and opinions on the Patrol Warrior, I'd love to hear them. Dive into the comments and let me know. Do you think that Nissan could have done more with this vehicle? And what would that have done to the price? What would you have liked to have seen? But how much would you have been prepared to pay? I'd love to hear it in the comments below. Let's have a chat about that. If you haven't liked this video already, please do me a solid. It does me some favors with the boss. You can see that I'm doing my job really well. And if you want to be updated when Drive drives new cars, make sure you subscribe as well. That's it from me. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I'll see you on the next one.